Do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. You adulterous people, do you not know that friendship with the world is enmity with God? Therefore, whoever wishes to be a friend of the world makes himself an enemy of God. If you were of the world would love you as its own. But because you are not of the world, but I chose you out of the world, therefore the world hates you.
One of the interesting things about Roman art is that these artists were quite open to new ideas and influences from other cultures and empires. Early Roman art, around 800 BC, drew heavily from Etruscan art. Etruscans were the powerful people in Tuscany, north of Rome. Romans drew heavily from Greek styles, but there was one thing that set the two styles apart quite distinctively. Roman artists had a much more realistic outlook and tempered idealistic Greek influence with that of the ideas of nearby Etruscans, who preferred a healthy dose of realism in their artwork. Roman artists would embellish the final output enough that his patron, the subject of his art, would appear dignified and impressive despite shortcomings. Augustus was a shrewd man and capable ruler who knew that art was a great way to communicate with the masses, regardless of whether they could read or write. More importantly, art could be used to subtly promote himself as a representative of the gods. The Pantheon was commissioned by Emperor Hadrian to honor all Roman gods and was completed in 125 AD. The Colosseum's second and third levels featured statues of gods and goddesses, standing under each impressive arch.
Jesuits and Marines are one and the same. The first Jesuit, Inigo de Loyola, formed the first Marine Corps in Venice. Jesuits call themselves God's personal Marine Corps. Hans Halberstadt quote, "Take away the guns and uniforms, and it can sometimes be difficult to tell a Marine from a Jesuit." End quote.
High School, United States Marine Corps JROTC, armed drill Platoon, reporting for regulation drill sir. Aye, sir. Oh, inspection.
Jesuit priest Paolo Dall'Oglio spent decades in Syria, engaged in Sunnis and Shiites reconciliation to form ISIS, who were equipped and financed by Jesuit-controlled Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Britain, and the United States. Jesuit British diplomat Sir Mark Sykes designed the terror flag for the Arab in 1916, using the four colors of the four horses in Revelation 6 to create a feeling of Arabness, to fuel the revolt against the Ottoman Empire in World War I. the Ishmaelites, are indeed a wild donkey of the man of Rome, as prophesied in Genesis 16:12.
No debemos dejar de orar por él y colaborar con quienes piensan distinto.
Confío en Buda.
Creo en Dios.
Creo en Jesucristo.
Creo en Dios, Alá.
Muchos piensan distinto, sienten distinto, buscan a Dios o encuentran a Dios de diversa manera. En esta multitud, en este abanico de religiones, hay una sola certeza que tenemos para todos. Todos somos hijos de Dios. Confío en vos para difundir mi petición de este confío en tu oración. No debemos dejar de orar por él.
The Sibylline Oracles, 5.144, dated the 1st century, says this about Nero: "This king, terrible and shameless, shall flee from Babylon, hated by every mortal, and by all good men." The Sibylline Oracles, 5.159 to 5.161, dated the 1st century, says this about Rome: "From heaven a great star shall fall on the dread ocean, and burn up the deep sea, with Babylon itself, and the land of Italy, by reason of which many of the Hebrews perished, holy and faithful, and the people of truth." Rome and Babylon are the only cities that burned God's temple on the same day, the 9th of Av, in 586 BC and 70 AD. Rome and Babylon are the only cities that destroyed Jerusalem on the same day, the 9th of Av, in 586 BC and 70 AD. Rome and Babylon are the only cities that looted the temple of God. Rome and Babylon are the only cities that massacred the Jew. Rome also burned millions of Christians to death. Rome and Babylon are the only cities that exiled God's Judah.
As for the beast that was and is not, it is an eighth, but it belongs to the seven, and it goes to destruction.
The eighth beast is the one world government of the Roman Antichrist. Daniel 9:26 says, "The Antichrist shall be a Roman."
And the people of the prince who is to come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary.